Hello and welcome to The Build Up. This is the podcast for marketing in the construction industry. I'm Dan, the creative director at Dissident. We've been working with construction brands for a number of years. It's an exciting and rapidly evolving industry, and that's why we created a podcast dedicated to the weird and wonderful world of construction marketing. I'll be speaking to leading brands, other agencies, creatives, influencers and startups. This is the resource I wish we had when we first started out in the industry. Thank you for being here and welcome to The Build Up. Well, welcome to another episode of The Build Up. I'm Dan. I'm the creative director at Dissident, and I am joined today by Emma Stefanotti, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Limitless EJS. And we're really excited about this one because we were talking about, it's kind of like marketing as a whole, but with a kind of big focus on influencers, content creators and stuff like that. So I think this is probably an episode for content creators or people looking to get into that. Would you agree?
Yeah, more focus sort of on the end user than the marketer.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where have you come from today?
From up north. So I come from Bolton,
Okay.
but home is Cornwall.
Okay.
So a bit of a trek between the two.
So you kind of found us in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Staffordshire.
Nice sort of centre point.
Yeah, I love that.
Nice easy trip.
I really appreciate that. This is the final episode that I'm happy to record before we go live with the actual podcast. So this is like, I was like, I needed to wait for this one before I start going crazy and editing and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited about today because this embarks the start of all of the hard work that Keelan's got to do to actually get all of these episodes edited. He's got to do logos. He's got to do all the shit that he's got to do for our clients, but for me.
Shout out to Keelan.
Yeah, big shout out to Keelan. Can we start by you just explaining kind of who you are, what you do, and whatever you want to talk about?
It's a whole story, but no, well, sort of in a nutshell, I've grown up in sort of within the industry. Dad was a mechanic when I was a kid, so I've grown up sort of hands-on tools in the garage. He now does property refurbishment, electrics, plumbing, all sorts. So again, the house I live in Cornwall, I actually helped build when I was about 8.
Nice.
So everyone's like, oh, you do sort of like the marketing side. How do you have any idea of what being on the tools is actually like? I'm like, actually quite a lot. Grown up in the industry, grown up with it, used to deal with the vehicle side of things. So sadly, as a bit of a petrol head, can tell you what it is without looking at it or it being in the dark with its lights on.
Yeah, we were talking off air that you would know the like the make and model of a van just from looking at a picture of the inside. Yeah, right.
Probably. There was a bit of a banter in a group chat before. One of the guys was traveling back in a car, and literally all he had was a picture of like the dashboard. I think he was in an Uber or something. I said, "Oh, nice." I think it was like an Insignia. He was like, "How the hell do you know it's that?" I'm like, "Because of the center console." Yeah. He's like, "Okay, we're gonna play a game. Next vehicle I'm in, I'm sending you a picture, and you got to tell me what it is."
That is a cool game, to be fair.
And he was sent it, and no one else in the group chat had any idea what was going on, and everyone was like, "What's going on here?" And I'm just like, "Oh, it's this." And he's like, "Okay, 10 points," and everyone, literally about 30 other people were like, what the hell are these two on about? So yeah.
And I think that would be a cool thing to do. Just I'm not saying blow up Emma's socials and DMs, but just send her a picture of the inside of your van and see if she can guess what it is.
Or just like a side profile pic or the back with the doors open with the lights. Yeah.
Especially with the lights. Yeah.
That's always a fun one.
The good thing about that, I guess, is it's got to be 75% of vans have transits on the road, surely.
To be fair, I used to work for that side of things, and 40% of the sales was transit customs. Everything else was then made up by every other van. Next popular was obviously the transporter, because everyone loves one and they'll convert it. But there's a lot out there that are like the same internal shell. They'll just have all made by the same factory. It might just be a Peugeot or a Toyota, but it's the same van underneath. So it'll just be the name might change, but the van is essentially the same. So if I get it wrong, don't hate.
That's the tough thing, isn't it? Because I've got a Vivaro long wheelbase crew cab.
Yeah.
So it's quite, you don't see a lot of those knocking about. But essentially the Vivaro is the same as the Renault?
So the Peugeot Expert, the Toyota Pro Ace.
Oh.
There's about 5 that are the same.
Okay. So it's like, which one do you pick? Is it just the cheapest?
It will just be either, if you're going for the same thing, it will just be either, oh, I don't like the name of that van.
Yes.
It'll be the name, while you say most people will go on price.
Yeah. I guess it's one of those things that like if you want to be taken seriously, you get a Transit, a Transporter, or a Vivaro.
Yeah, the top three that are like more respected in the industry.
I used to have a Berlingo before that.
Oh, no.
It's like a toy van.
Yeah, it's like a little cube.
We've gone off topic there a little bit. So we talked about vans, but your background in the industry. Dad was on the tools.
Yeah,
you were around it and things like that. Like, talk about your career, like up until kind of like this point. Like, how did you get into like marketing and construction and stuff?
So
like
I used to do like sales, social media side. So I always had sort of a foot in the door with that side. Loved sort of the connecting with people, building the relationships. And a couple of guys you work with have actually been previous customers where place I've worked. So I've always had good connections within the industry. Switched jobs and thought it's not really what I want to be doing. I want to sort of do more creative, more things that I enjoy, but it's also different on the daily. So I took a punt not even a year ago to start the business and thought, you know what, let's do what I enjoy doing. Reach out to all those guys that I know in the industry and say, look, I'm going solo. This is what I'm going to be doing. If you need anything or you think anyone would need my help, please send them my way. And touch wood, so far.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Wicked.
Best decision.
And then in terms of like actually like what you do, can you explain like your kind of like, I guess, a service offering? Like,
yeah, so I've sort of split it down into sort of two sections. So I've got like the marketing support where a lot of the focus is on like editorials, PR pieces, writing up about like after events or with promos coming up or new product launches. A lot of it will be with media packs as well. So if a content creator is trying to sort of link up with a brand and they've asked for their media pack, which is essentially like a digital CV portfolio of them and their social media.
Plus like rates and stuff.
And rates their services, what they want to offer. So it could be a reel, a post, a content day of filming. It could be attending events. And then just obviously what their price is. So when it goes to the brand, they know what to expect. So they're not going to ask them for something that they're not offering.
Okay.
But also they know where they stand on price. They can try and put it in a budget. If there's a certain budget for a project, they can tee it up for that, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then occasionally graphics for guys that I've got on board, maybe do a bit of content with them. And then I've got the influencer hub. Best way to describe it, I know not everyone likes football, is like the football agent vibe, but for the trade.
Okay.
So helping with influencers who have got brands reaching out to them and they don't really know, like you say, what pricing to do or how to do, or if they're asking for a media pack and they need that. But also they don't want to have to faff around with phone calls and emails all day. They want to just crack on. I can then be that agent in the middle to take care of it and make sure the brand gets what they need, but the influencer's also getting what they want from it and not getting screwed over in the process and being undercut on either price or value of product, making sure everyone wins, hopefully.
I think there's a really good point, actually, because there is a... there doesn't seem to be any consistency on rates and things like that or not as much consistency, certainly in the construction industry, where one person's doing this and it's super cheap and they're giving a lot of value. You're like, oh my god, like how are we getting away with this?
Yeah.
And you got other content creators who are perhaps charging more than their worth to some extent. Obviously, charge what you want, but like in terms of like there's no sort of average, like a mean average. And you ideally as an industry, you want to get to that point, because as soon as you've got people, and you see this in the creative industry as well, where as soon as you've got people that are basically doing it practically for free, they've already got a job and they're, just like a bit of pocket money here and there, but they're actually providing loads and loads of content and value that devalues the stuff that the guys have got to need to charge more for, because they're more reliant on that income.
Yeah.
So it needs to get to a point ideally where we've got a sort of almost like a agreed upon average of how we charge.
Yeah, within the industry, because like I know a lot of people are happy with just getting sent product. It's like, okay, I can understand that, I can respect that, but at the same time, how much time have you now spent that you would have normally to now film it? Or like with their outtakes. Yeah. I know there's a couple of guys out there that actually like to post the outtakes. You can see how many attempts it's taken for them to actually get to the point where what you've seen polished a week ago has taken them on time and effort. And then it can be, okay, you might have taken 3 hours to film it. You're now going to spend another 5 hours editing it, cutting it down from an hour's worth to be a short for Instagram or a short for YouTube or a full length YouTube, adding the captions and the extra images.
Yeah.
It's okay, what's that time worth? Because it's okay, you've got the product for free. Depends on the value of the product. Where have you gained or lost value in what you're producing? Because like some people might get a tool, for example, and it could be worth £500, £600, £700. It's like, okay, take the value of the product, do as much content as you can for that value and say to them, okay, you've seen what value I've brought to the table. Let's now talk maybe numbers or like compensation, because I've now provided value that you can see the engagement against the value of that product. Now it's time for me to actually start to see the rewards of it as well as having the tool, because, create something for me. Yeah, but I don't have the item to do it. So you've got to give them the product anyway. So it's like, well, if you want them to do it, you've either got to give them the product if they haven't already got it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, where do you sit? Like you say, it's that if you're doing it for free, there are a lot of people out there get a bit sour for people doing it for free.
Yeah.
Because like you say, it feels like it's devaluing their value of what they're charging. So
exactly, because they'll go to a brand and go, well, here's my terms. I'm really looking forward to working with you. Like that I'm excited for this. Here's my rates.
Yeah.
And they go, well, this guy down the road who's got a similar amount of followers as you is doing it for way cheaper. And then the brand, and you've got to figure out like what works. Yeah.
It's challenging for me as well, because they go, oh yeah, but what's their engagement rate? Or we've got someone who will do it for the same price and they've got more followers. It's like, are they selling themselves too short?
Yeah.
Because this is sort of almost like a bare minimum for, again, time, effort. Because if you took your day rate, if you work on day rate or hourly rate, work out what you would do in a day and then work out how many hours you're spending on the content, that's roughly where you want to be charging, because you can't get time back once it's lost.
No.
Money comes and goes, time doesn't. But it just goes.
I guess also from that respect as well, you've got to figure out the value of the product you're delivering to the brand.
Exactly.
Because your time fitting a bathroom, perhaps obviously provides a lot of stuff for the customer. They're happy that they've got a great new bathroom, whatever. That's providing some level of value. But then when you set your rates to that, and then you're providing a reel that generates hundreds of thousands of pounds of sales, you've got to figure out, maybe I should charge more for this.
That's the catch-22, isn't it? Like you say, average post cost in the industry sort of between £300 and £500. But again, what sales, if your engagement rate's really high, what sales are you generating? Are you now selling yourself, if you're doing it for like £300 and you're generating £3,000 worth of sales, where do you sit with that? Yeah. But it could be, okay, you do it at that rate for, say, 6 months. You prove the value. You go, okay, you can see what I've brought in, or if they've got like a discount code, you can really measure that like between. And that's where I'm hoping to then, like once I've done the deal, I can say, okay, you've given them a code, or we can see the engagement. You can now like give us a report on what you've seen on your side. And then we can go, okay, let's adjust the deal. If it's down, it's down. If it's up, it's up. Yeah. But are they proving value, yes or no?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you getting out of it what you want from it? Yes. Okay, so let's make it more fair. Let's increase it a little bit, because you've got the budget. Yeah. So it's a minefield, but...
Well, hopefully working with people like yourself is going to give some sort of clarity on that we can set a sort of standard of kind of like a standard of engagement with brands. But I get it, being an agency that works kind of on behalf of the brand, we'll take a cheap influencer. We'll do it.
It's easier. But...
As much as I'm like, this isn't good for your industry, I'm like, I'll take it because I can get him and her, and that's all within budget, and that's great, and I'll take that free content or whatever. Yeah. But there is there's kind of something for everyone, and the product thing's a weird one, because we'll get reviewers is a really interesting one, because of course their content, their value, their income comes from perhaps YouTube or whatever, sponsors of their particular show. They're not actually necessarily getting money from the brand, because that would be disingenuous. So they're essentially doing stuff kind of for free for the brands, which benefits the brands, obviously, if it's a good product and they review it well. So there's them to think about as well, which aren't just being like, hey, I'm using like Fisher today or whoever, and we're doing these kinds of products on this particular job, and that's kind of just brand awareness and stuff like that. If they're physically going, I've got the new such and such product, and I'm going to review it today. And you know, if a brand was paying them for that obviously would be dodge, super dodge.
Yeah, it's one of those that some people take it or leave it with that, because some people will see it as, oh, you're only being paid to say it.
Yes.
So some people will like switch off from a brand because of it.
Yeah.
But some people will be like, if they've seen them using it over time and then they get the deal, it's like, well, okay, it seems a bit more genuine because you've used the product over time. They've seen them using it. They've been tagging them, sharing it, whatever for a while. Then the deal comes. That's where I think it provides more value within the industry for people watching the content as well, because it doesn't seem, like you say, it doesn't feel forced.
No.
And it doesn't feel like disingenuous because they've actually been using it for a long time. Whereas it's just like sometimes people will be like working away with one product, but because they can get paid with another one, they quickly switch. And it's like, well, but why?
Yeah.
Some people just switch brands, or some people just do the deal for the money. And it's like, but you've now lost all credibility.
Yeah, at least some of it. Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people, there's a lot of people that will have already, like, they've seen it or the industry. There's not many out there, which is a good thing, but there's a few that have done, but they've lost all credibility with the industry. And you see it on social media, or you hear it at events.
Yeah.
About people going, oh yeah, well, they're only on that stand because they're being paid, or not because they use it. And there's a lot of talk about, oh, they're using so many influencers. It's like, yeah, but are they? Are they actually paying them all? Or is it a lot of people will use it for the love of the product or the quality of the product? So there's a whole mixed bag of feeling and review. No, it's completely rainbowed. It would be so much easier if it was black and white. Like, it's good product, use it. It's not good, don't use it.
Yeah, because you are going to get these creators that are just like, I'm just doing this for fun.
Yeah.
I like the product. Give me the product and I'll do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. As a I guess ambassador for the brand, I'm like, cool. Here you go.
Yeah.
that was easy. Give me the content. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, isn't it? But I think the difference with the guys that you know that aren't doing this as a paid thing or whatever, or certainly like low cost stuff, is there's a tendency for them to be less reliable.
Yeah.
If you need that content,
then
you need to have some sort of contract in place with somebody who is delivering content on a regular basis, ideally who has access to the right amount of jobs for this particular product and stuff. And that's when you've got to start thinking about a really specific engagement with someone who's being paid.
Yeah, and this is why I sort of created the influencer hub to try and help with that. And like a lot of people will just do deals off a phone call or off a message. And it's like, okay, but nothing's really in writing.
Exactly.
You don't know where you stand. The brand, like you say, if they want content, you could turn around and go, well, nothing is in writing. I don't have to do this.
Yes.
You just phoned me and asked me to do it.
There's a gentleman's agreement or whatever.
Yeah,
to
handshake under the table kind of thing. It's like, well, hang on, let's put something in writing. If I have to write that for you, I'm happy to, because I'd rather protect you, protect the brand, everyone wins, rather than it being, they don't really know what they want from the influencer. The influencer doesn't really know what they want. It's like, okay, well, how many posts would you physically be able to create for them a month? 3 reels, because of the time it takes. Fine. Okay, maximum of 3 reels. Include that in, and vice versa. Because some of them, and I know I'm not going to name drop because it's not fair, but I had some guys, they come to me, they're like, look, I'm good on the tools, I'm good at what I do, but I'm rubbish when it comes to emails or reading contracts. And I don't mind if people just drop me a message like, can you just read over this and make sure I'm not going to get screwed over or I'm not getting caught out? I'm like, yeah, join the hub, we'll go through it and I'll pick it apart. And some people are scared that when they do that collaboration with the brand, they're going to be like, oh, here's a script.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I read from that script, I'm going to lose credibility.
Yes.
So we can go, okay, great. Let's take that script. Let's read through what the key points of what they're trying to say. Let's reword it in your terminology, how you would speak. Send it back to them and say, look, we're happy to do the script, but this is how we want to deliver it.
100%.
Because again, it's still genuine, because you could be like, oh, hello, my name's Emma. And it was right. All right, my name's, like, how you actually deliver that message is key for the engagement.
Yeah.
Because if it feels too forced or too properly scripted, everyone's going to go, oh, this is just a script, and switch off.
Yeah.
There goes your engagement rate. There goes the point of posting.
Because there's a thing where, like, and we've come across this. Ideally, we want stuff in writing because from the point of view of the brand, we want to make sure that if you need to be delivering what we're paying you for, and if you don't deliver that, that's grounds for discussion,
Exactly.
essentially. And no one's allowed to be upset about, like, if it's just like, oh, well, you didn't make the right amount of content. It's all written down, set in stone. If you didn't deliver that, we can discuss either going in a different direction or maybe doing something, two pieces of content next month or whatever. And even if you've got a situation where you're like, I don't want to commit as a content creator, I don't want to commit to 1 or 2 reels a month. I want to do content where possible around the 1 reel a month type thing. We're aiming for 12 reels in a year, let's say. Let's put that in a contract. You can still have, I guess, a contract that's loose, and just be like, I'm going to try and do this, but I need you to be aware of that if this doesn't happen, that doesn't go against me and my work ethic.
Exactly. They've then got that flexibility. Like you say, even if it is like 12 reels in a year, but they've got a big project coming up that they could do 3 or 4.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's then got more of a push. You've then, like, by the end of the year, you haven't got a stress thinking, oh, it's coming up to Christmas, so I've got nothing with this product that I can do.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I've already done my 12.
100%.
You've got that. They can just take that chill. They've not got the pressure.
Yeah.
Because when content's pressured, that's when it will then take even longer to film because you keep messing it up.
Yeah.
So
you can be casual, but let's just make that casualness official.
And fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like put it in writing. Everyone
put
wins.
it in writing that it's going to be pretty cash.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's okay.
And I think that's more than anything, because like there's some out there that, again, have messaged me being like, can you help me?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, what's the problem? They're like, oh, I'm doing some work with a brand and they're doing work with some other people and I know they're getting paid. But my agreement, I'm not getting paid. I said, well, let's look at it. And it's by that point, unfortunately, some of them they might have already signed it or agreed to it. And it's like, well, can't do anything this time because this is the bit where you've, like you say, if they don't understand what they're looking at, it's like completely gone or they glaze over or it's just missing.
Yeah.
And they've signed it, gone, oh, great, it's a deal, let's get it done. And it's like, oh, hang on a minute. Have you thought about, they've sort of tripped themselves up. So
a lot of these guys are accidental influencers, aren't they? They didn't,
exactly. It's not their plan.
It wasn't in their business model and whatever to go, right, I'm going to get X amount of followers. And by the time I get to this point, I've got these things in place.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are like overnight successes.
Yeah.
That are just like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's like, all coming at once.
Yeah,
what do I do? Panic.
I've got these huge brands coming to me and they're offering me money. I'm like, great. But then you can be the voice of reason going, actually, you should probably get more money than that.
I did the other day, mate was like, can you just look at this? And I'm like, okay, so if you were charging this for what they're asking, they should be paying you this.
Yes.
And they're only offering you this. Wrote him a little email. So, right, send them that.
Yeah.
And he's managed to get an extra like £500, £600, £700 out of them by just sort of going, okay, it sounds fair.
Yeah.
But for what you're asking, I would be charging you this.
Yes. And a lot of people are too
is there any
scared
wiggle
to do
room?
that, aren't they,
and they've then gone, oh, but it's on the budget. I'm like, well, is it though? You're a big company.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they've gone from this offer to this offer and it's signed, done.
Yeah. I mean, the worst you can do is ask. And I think a lot of people are too scared to ask.
Yeah.
Especially when it's them.
I'm not scared to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're a third party. You're like, my client would like more than that.
Yeah.
Based on the amount of value they can. It's not, you're not being a dick about it.
No. It's just honesty.
Yeah.
Like you say, or they might not have the time to push back. Or by they do, it's like 8, 9 p.m. when they're actually sitting down and looking at their emails. By that point, you've lost a day of negotiation. And it'll be like, oh, we want to start on Wednesday. It's now Tuesday morning by the time they see it. They don't sit till Tuesday night. You've lost 2 days worth of sorting stuff.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully where I can come in and try and save the day, take the stress away.
Exactly. and you understand as well that like all this kind of stuff has got zero emotion attached to it from the brand, from yourself. But when it's the actual creator and it's their income, it's their work, they're so emotionally attached to it.
Personally, they take it personally when people are like, oh no, that's all you're worth.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, let's look at it then.
Yeah.
Let's say, okay, let's drop the value, but we want this much product per month.
Yeah.
So that's then making up for that lost value. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's like they're okay with the value in the product going up, but not the money. As soon as it's a number, they get scared.
Because the marketers have just got a pot.
Yeah.
They've just got a pot that they can pull from and go, okay, we've got $100,000 to spend that's left over on stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a little bit aside for miscellaneous bits and bobs and a little bit of merch drops and stuff, and then I've got this little pool of stuff here for influencers or whoever, and then they'll just be like, like they'll probably at the point of speaking to one creator, they're probably speaking to like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or
definitely.
9 or whatever at the same time. And they're starting to add stuff where they go, okay, that sounds good. So they start to see their sort of pot dwindle, and when they get to the last person, they're just like, this is what we've got.
Yeah.
But actually there's always wiggle room. And again, there's no emotion attached to it. It's just a case of, this is what we got, can you do it? So like you said, sometimes it's like, well, if there's no wiggle room with the budget, then you've got to compromise on the value.
Yeah.
If you still want that work, if it's worth it to you, you just go, cool, I'll just do less work for you.
Yeah, that's fine. If you wanted 10 reels, you're now going to get 5.
Yeah, because next year when the budgets come out and they're bigger, hopefully,
they'll see that what they've done in those few reels and go, actually, they're now top of the list. Now they'll get more.
Yes.
Sometimes you've got to, it sounds bad, but you've almost got like, people have approached you, but you've still got to prove your value.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I'm like, but at the same time, you've approached them.
Yeah.
You've picked them for a reason. But obviously on the other side of it, I'm also reaching out on behalf of that person to the brand and say, look, they use your products all the time. Why not do a deal? Because it's like one of your episodes, you're talking about how important micro-influencers are.
Yes.
And they are. You could have between 1,000 followers and like 10,000 followers and prove more value than someone who's got 100,000.
Yes.
Because it could be out of your 10,000 followers, 9,000 like interact and engage. Out of your 100,000, still only 9,000 interact.
Yeah.
So who's proving more value at less cost?
Exactly.
I think that's a lot of what brands need to see. They're like, oh yeah, but he's got more followers. Right, great. What's his engagement in comparison?
Yes.
Like, is his word or trusted by those people that follow him? Is it a genuine following?
Yeah.
Is it purchased?
Yeah.
Like, that's what a lot of brands just see, that big following number. And that's all they see. They're like, oh yeah, but he's got a great following. But is it though?
Yeah. And you can do this kind of research.
I do a lot. Yeah. So I sort of, when people contact me or I'm reaching out to a brand and say, look, here's the engagement rate. I've seen the guys you're using.
Yeah.
Here's that in comparison to them. They're sitting on the same level.
Yes.
Just because their following numbers like might be miles apart, but the engagement rate's the same. So you could get the same value for less cost.
Yes.
So why not consider them? And that's sort of another angle I'm coming out, trying to reach and say to the guys that have approached me, okay, what brands would you like to work with? Which products do you use on a daily, rather than, I want to work with that brand because it's that brand, but do you use their products? Because if you don't, there's no point. Because like, again, it's like we said earlier, you could stick to one product and then switch, and everyone's going to go, well, he's just going for the money.
Yes. And so their influence drops massively.
And then that engagement rate that you've thrown to the brand as a sort of bargaining tool, in a sense, just goes out the window because it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it's so volatile. It's actually quite scary. I wouldn't want to be it. I wouldn't want to be an influencer.
I don't know. I think it could be quite fun in the sense that when people come to you, but that is why I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm that person in the middle because I've dealt with it. I know both sides of it because I've been the brand and I used to look after the influencers, but I'm now on the other side of it where the influencers are like, help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know I've done both sides. I can talk business to brands, but I can also talk tradie.
Yes.
So hopefully I can be that weird one in the middle that helps make it all work.
I guarantee you 100%, if I was an influencer, I would be the guy that gets shadow banned. I would literally, because I'm so ruthless when it comes to like money. I've got no loyalty at all when it comes to like brands and stuff like that. Obviously, very grateful to the brands that work with us and stuff like that. But as an agency, of course, it's not about loyalty. It's about getting paid.
Yeah,
it's kind of different than being an influencer, whereas you're looking to build influence through
loyalty and trust.
Exactly. Whereas I would be like, who's going to pay me more? Cool. I will literally
work with you.
So I would never blame someone for doing that. But it's detrimental to
you can see
audience.
Like both sides. Like as a brand to brand,
yeah.
you can be like, oh, who's going to pay me to do the work better?
Exactly.
Perfect. So you're going to be my client.
Yeah.
Whereas like as an influencer, it's like, okay, where am I going to keep credibility?
Yes.
Where am I going to damage my brand?
Yeah.
By doing that jump.
And you could potentially lose money by being more loyal, but you have a better longevity.
Yeah, massively.
As a
but it's a lot of people as well with like say events and stuff, and they want the influencers on the stand.
Yeah.
How do you get treated by that brand? Are you just, oh great, stand over there, talk to these people?
Yeah.
Great. We're going for food, see you later.
Yeah.
Or is it right, everyone's in, everyone get food, have you had lunch? No, go for a break. It's how you get, it's the whole package.
Yeah.
And a lot of people overlook that, especially when it comes to like the events and things, because as fun as they are, they are draining.
Oh, it's so hard.
Like take installer, 3 days on your feet, chatting to thousands of people.
In horrible aircon.
In horrible, either freezing cold or you're sweating like a pig. There was no in between this year. And it's like, well, who's looking after you at the end of the day? Who's going, oh, go for a walk, go get a beer, go speak to people, or going, right, have you gone and spoken to people for your business?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Go.
Yeah.
Like, spend the day.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do.
And you need
network.
at least one day, don't you?
Yeah. Go and network. Go and build that relationship or continue that relationship with other brands. Yeah. Obviously not competitors, because that would be dangerous.
But at the same time, though, you know, I will go and speak to our clients' competitors. Like we've got non-competes on certain things. And with certain brands, I'll still go and speak to them because some of the biggest brands that we work with, who we're super friendly with, we go out for drinks and I would love to see that continue. Eventually, that's going to stop.
Yeah,
I don't think
you've got to protect yourself at the end of it.
I'm not going to be working with these guys when I'm 65. I can guarantee you something's going to happen. Our contact's going to move, or there's going to be some sort of budget changes. There's going to be eventually. You need to mix it up. It's good to mix it up.
Yeah,
you can't just stick with the same agency forever. So I'm speaking to everybody. I'm not working with them.
No,
just speaking to them.
Sometimes it just takes gentle conversation because, like you say, sometimes with content, if you see the same brand all the time, it can get stale.
Yeah.
And you do need to mix it up.
Yeah.
Or like you say, if there's an opportunity with like a competitor or something that's close, but not quite, if your NDA or your deal with them's coming towards an end, it's like, okay, I'm going to reach out to a few and see, okay, what's my loyalty worth?
Yeah.
Because I could get more elsewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that information because we've signed the NDA.
Yeah.
But still, are you going to look after me the way they did? Yes. No. Okay. Perfect. Right. Okay. You're now on level fields.
Yeah.
Do you offer this? Do you offer that? No. Okay. So where do you want to stick your business?
Because at the end of the day, from an influencer's perspective and an agency's perspective, the brand, it does not care about you. Not really.
Everyone's a number.
To some extent, as in like there might be individuals that care about you in that brand, and maybe even some of the higher ups. But at the same time, when it comes to whether like looking after their staff themselves, the brand, or looking after you, they're going to look after their staff and their brand more.
Yeah. Like who's actually bringing in the money at the end of the day? Who's making the sale?
Yeah. Are they going to, if times are hard, are they going to be laying off some of their team members that have been there forever, or are they going to keep paying that influencer? That's actually quite difficult. I wouldn't want to make that decision.
Catch-20. I would not want to be in those person's shoes.
No.
Like you say, it's a catch-22. It's like, well, hang on. Has the influencer brought in more money than that person?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, hang on. They've been with us for 10 years. They've been with us 10 months and brought in more.
And they're a drain.
Where do you stand? It's that awkward in the middle.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Luckily, it's a pretty semi-safe industry to be in, construction, which is one of the reasons why we love working in it. Going back to, so we've got the influencer hub, we've got the stuff that you do. So you're not only looking after the brands are paying you to do cool stuff. Influencers are doing the same, right?
Yep.
So you're on both sides of the, and then you can figure out a way for them both to work with each other.
I've had one recently again where I was sort of already speaking to brand. Guy joined the hub, sends me an email going, "Oh, I had this email." I'm like, perfect. I know everything about that because I had a meeting 2 days ago with the brand.
Yeah.
So I just emailed the brand saying, "Look, the guy you've emailed, he's actually now part of the hub. Let's talk. Let's get it done.
We'll figure it out.
Already done. Content's out. Invoices are paid. Everyone's happy."
And for transparency, essentially how that works is, let's say you've got content creators, influencers looking to start to work with brands. They perhaps want to get like a media pack or something like that. You'll charge them for that as an individual thing. You might have a retainer or project work with a particular brand, and if there's some kind of collaboration between an influencer and a brand, you'll perhaps take something from that.
Yeah. So
as well.
with the hub, I was sort of only sort of started it in June. So again, still in its infancy.
Yeah, that's exciting though.
I'm loving it. Yeah. I think as soon as I put the post out there and said I was going to do it, and the positive reaction, I thought, okay, I've done the right thing. Yeah. People can actually see this being a thing. So I'm going to structure it that if a brand approaches me to get an influencer, it'll be the monthly fee for them, and anything like commission-wise, once it's over its time period, will come from them.
Okay.
So the influencer isn't losing out because I've then approached them on behalf of the brand. If the influencers come to me and said, I got a deal going with this brand, can you help? Yeah. It's then the influencer. So it depends on who's approaching, because it's like, okay, I could take a fee from both and quids in. and take commission from both. But that's not how I want to do it. I want to do it with
Yeah.
who's approached, who's asked for that deal to be done, and take it from that side. Because I think at that point, if it's from the influencer side, we can then build in that commission drop into their service price.
Yes.
So they still get out of it what they want.
Oh, yeah.
I then get like my little cut of the deal, but everyone wins.
It's like those sort of Groupon sort of mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or whatever, of just like, okay, we're going to do this. It looks like it's a super cheap sort of deal, but essentially what you did is just before this deal went out, you put your prices up by 20% or something
Yeah.
like that. And that's fine.
It's like supermarkets, the same as that.
Yeah, and Amazon, you get your Amazon deals and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, oh, that looks reasonable, but actually it was that price 2 weeks ago. It's just they've put it up and
Yeah.
then put the coupon.
It just
the
means
discount.
that everyone wins.
Yeah.
It means that, like, say the influencer's not then getting screwed on it because I'm taking a cut.
Mm-hmm.
They're still getting what they wanted from it.
Yeah.
And I'm not losing out for just doing days worth of work for a small monthly fee just to have me at their disposal day or night. They phone, they text, they email, help. Or I need this. I'm like,
I think that's massive because, like, first of all, it's a bit like anything in this industry. Like I think people get a bit weird about agents' fees and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, it's like I'm like shady or whatever, and we're a little bit different because we're just essentially we get paid for services. We're not really that kind of agency, but you've had to take time to like build relationships with like the brands. You got to get to know those guys. You got to take time out. You got to come and do stuff like this, like that you don't get paid for. Same thing with influencers. They're building their audience for free for such a long time.
yeah,
And then when you get that, essentially an influencer or a brand. Let's do the influencer kind of thing. An influencer could come to you and say, "Hey, I want 2 more clients in 2 months," and you can potentially go and do that. You can go, "Cool." Like you can figure out the ways of doing that. But essentially, long and short of it is you could go and find those brands and get those deals organized. Imagine if they tried to do that. Imagine how much time that would take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
that's what I'm trying to do and essentially do, because
And do it in a smart way where everyone's safe.
and no one gets ruined in the process, because so many people will get annoyed at a brand for not getting back to them. They then get a bad name for not getting back to them. It's like, well, hang on a minute. If I know there's a deadline, I'll be going, okay, where are we at? Or emailing, where are we at? Message them.
Yes.
Doing that timeless piece in the middle, so the influencer or creator can carry on creating or just cracking on with the job they've got.
Yes.
Because if they've got to keep stopping and answer the phone or answer an email throughout the day, all that time's lost. That project might now take an extra week because of it. Whereas if I can take that stress.
Yeah. And also you can almost be like an interpreter, because there is a certain type of dialogue with brands and with marketers. If it's a big company and you're working with essentially marketing directors, marketing managers and stuff like that, they've got a very different lingo to the guys that are the boots on the ground, the guys and girls that are on the tools.
Yeah.
They talk in a different way. And that's cool. That's genuine. That's why we love the industry. But it's nice to be the person in the middle that can understand all the lingo from the marketers
side.
and you know what they want to hear. You know what they want. How to approach those guys, and then you can interpret that into back to the creator, who perhaps isn't that way inclined. You know what I mean?
Or like you say,
a bit more straight talking.
Yeah, or say it as it is, but won't see that little bit in the middle that might trip them up.
Yeah.
Or might cause them a problem.
With some influencers in the construction industry, you do not want those guys speaking to the people who are paying them.
Could you imagine?
No, there's some people that we've worked with and some people that I know or are in my network that I'm just like, you need to never speak to the people that are paying you. No. Ever.
You would cause more problems and you would then no longer have deals.
Exactly. You got to have someone that's that perhaps a little bit more careful, a little bit more savvy to the business side of things and stuff like that. And brands, are good, and we are good at trying to get a deal.
Yeah.
Trying to get a good deal. We'll ask questions in specific times, which will warrant a better answer.
Yeah.
From our point of view, it's business.
And a lot of people, there's the saying, isn't it, that people buy people.
Yeah.
If you say the wrong thing, they're not going to buy you. They're not going to buy your time, your effort. So there's some creators out there that I'm like, I cannot stand talking to them because they're so fucking arrogant or whatever. But their content is amazing. Yeah.
But the fact that they're a complete tosser has stopped us from working with them.
Yeah.
Whereas if they had like an intermediary, someone in the middle, like an Emma, that's like, hey, this is my client. They can do this for you, and you don't need to speak.
You
to
don't
this
need
guy.
to deal with them. You'd be like, great, because I can get that quality of content and not have to deal with the person in the middle that's just 100%, an arse.
100%. Like that would be amazing for us. That's actually a really good point, because it's not just brands and creators and influencers that can use you, but agencies like us.
Yeah.
Because we don't do that kind of thing. I've thought several times, because of the people that we work with in our network, maybe I could set up like something like an influencer agency. Then I sort of think, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
Let someone else do that.
Yeah, don't want to have to deal with these people.
No,
See, I find that fun, because when I was in sales side, obviously you'd have to deal with like the internal sales guys at the business, but I also get to be on the phone to the tradies. And being a female in such a male-dominated environment, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Like they'd phone up and be like, oh, can I speak to someone in technical? You're speaking to her and you just hear the tone of voice be like, oh. Or like it was a message through Instagram, like, hi, mate, I'm looking for this. You're like, yeah, no worries. By the way, it's Emma here if you need anything. Like, oh, thanks, love. I'm like, I'm no longer your mate. I'm now love. And it's like how the terminology changes.
It does happen.
Instantly when they're like, oh, it's a female.
Yeah.
Or like you'd be at a show, they're like, oh, I've been speaking to someone on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's me. They're like, no, I've been speaking to someone on Instagram. I was like, yeah, still me.
Still me. Yeah.
They're like,
I do know what I'm talking about.
Oh, they then look at you and you're like, there's like 6 foot and towering over and you're like, yes, little old me.
Yeah.
That was, and yeah.
It still surprises people, doesn't it?
And I love, it's one of those, it's again, you walk into like a car showroom.
Yeah.
Oh, it's female.
Yeah.
So mate, I know more about this car than you.
Yeah.
And I schooled a guy on it once and he was like, I'm just going to go get a colleague for you. And I was like, you have nothing to say. Like, you don't know
you can't add to
where
this.
you put your foot in your mouth and how to get it out. And yeah, it's one of those. I think a lot of the females in the industry as well will say the same, that it sounds strange that it's that feeling of, I've proved you wrong.
Yes.
I can do it. Be aware that I can do it.
Yes, 100%.
Don't think, oh, a female can't do it, can't lift it or can't lift or move or fix this. I do the DIY at home.
Yeah.
Other half's like, yeah, you carry on.
Yeah.
You've grown up on it. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not getting my hands dirty. He's like, we redid the garden. He's like, what do we need? How do I do it? What? I'm like, right, we need this. Let's get it done. And it's done and it looks awesome.
There you go.
And he's like, it's taken me years to do that. I'm like, you've done it in a day. I'm like,
the problem is you can't explain all of this to a person. Every time you get some sort of like prejudice, you can't roll out that spiel.
No.
You haven't got enough time.
you just sort of soak in the moment.
Because you really want to fucking lay into them, don't you? You know what I mean?
It's that.
Yeah.
Breathe. Take a moment. Okay.
Because you end up looking like a psycho, then, don't you? If you're just like, right, let me explain to you all the reasons why you're wrong in this situation, and why you should have thought about the way that you phrased what you just said.
Yeah.
It's too long of a process. So a lot of the time you just go, you're just a fucking sexist or whatever, and move on.
A favourite thing used to be with like the customer service side of things. We would be like, okay, you're going to shout down the phone and call me a stupid cow. And that's fine. I'm like, okay, thanks. Have a great day. Bye. And they're like, One time a guy literally like chewed my ear off for something that like we hadn't done. He had fitted it wrong.
Right.
And he wasn't listening to how I was trying to tell him to undo what he'd done wrong and fix it. First time ever, he actually phoned up the day after and apologised.
That's good.
He was like, oh, he got back inside and his missus looked at him and went, you feel bad now, don't you? And he was like, yeah, I do. Phoned me the next day. I thought, fair play, that takes balls.
Yeah, that's progress.
And I was like, you're probably 1 in a million that's actually got to go, oh, yeah, no. I took it out on her and it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
But like with the customer service side, when you're in sales and stuff, the best phrase we have ever used, kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what to do. And they think, oh, well, she's not bothered by that.
Yeah. Because they want a
they want a reaction.
Yeah.
If you don't and you're just like, okay. They're like, oh, what do I do now? It's, again, great feeling.
Going back to influencers, what are the things that you're seeing and that you've seen that are bad practices? What's the thing you see the most often? You're just like, you need to fix that.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of it will be like the quality of the content.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's like, oh, you might do an amazing clip, but it'd be like really fuzzy or really grainy. And it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be polished on a big fancy camera.
No.
But clean your lens.
Clean your lens.
Like
first one,
like,
clean your fucking lens, Keelan. Do you know what I mean?
Come on,
I literally, I see it all the time. But to be fair, Molly, like our like content creator, one of the best photographers I've known.
Yeah.
Super, super talented, super creative. She used to do BTS for us.
Yeah.
On like a phone and stuff like that. I'm just like, do us a favor, get a few shots of BTS. Like we don't want to do like anything with like our big production cameras. Just get some shots for Instagram on stories. And they'll always be like, why does Molly's BTS always look shit? I'm like, what's wrong with your phone, Molly?
Yeah.
Like, it's what phone is it? What camera you got? She's like, it's always been shit. I'm not sure. Maybe I think I might have dropped it in the bath or something like that. I can't remember. And I'm like, oh mate, give it here. And I'm like, it's fucking covered in makeup. And I'm like, you're a professional photographer. How did you not realize that you had to clean your lens? And it's literally like the first thing I ever do.
First thing I do is
get that.
Yeah, straight on the belly.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who. Like, if someone says, "Can you do us a favor? Can you take a picture?"
First thing I do is check the lens.
I don't want this to. Yeah. Honestly, it was like a revelation to her. But so if it can happen to Molly, it can happen to construction influencers. And of course, that's quite a messy environment anyway.
Massively. And it's one of those as well, like with the audio, because it could be like great, but all you can hear is like diggers in the background, or like you're stood so far away.
Yeah, your mic's over there,
that you can't hear anything.
It up so that they can hear you over here.
But like even you can get like the £20 mics on Amazon. Yeah. It's not a bank break. You don't have to get like the fancy DJI ones or whatever it may be. I bought a pair that are like 50 quid on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
and they're brilliant.
Better than nothing.
And it's like when I'm out doing the content with the guys, I'm like, just stick that on, because if you're walking into shot, I'm not going to hear anything until you're next to me with the camera. So I think it will just be paying attention to what they're actually trying to do.
Yeah, just up your game.
Up the game, but also like with the environment, some of the times you can take a picture if it's like a still, like at events, for example, when you're setting it up, hide the coffee cup for goodness sake.
Yeah. Like, we're shit at doing stuff like that.
Stuff, just little details that people, like you say, you might not miss, but if you're watching it as a brand, you're looking for that attention to detail in their content. And that could be the be all or make all, like you say, makeup on the lens or a scratch on the lens or like cracked camera and stuff like that. Just, I think the little bits of just tidy it up, make it look how you want it to look. You're representing yourself.
Yeah.
It's your brand and your personal bit. Like, just tidy it up. Even like this, like with your clothes and things like that. I know obviously it's construction. You're going to be a bit messy, but if it's got a rip in the t-shirt, change your t-shirt. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly polished and clean and ironed, because again, you're a tradie in a trade environment, but have a bit of sense of pride.
Yeah, it's like a classic example is like the shit old faded polo, like Fruit of the Loom polo shirt that's just like
10 years old,
where the collar's kind of like curling up a little bit and stuff like that. Like,
making me nervous now.
Yeah,
making sure mine's tidy.
Rocking the brawn today.
Oh, mine's in the bag.
I like a bit of brawn.
Love
good
brawn.
Quality stuff.
Shout out to Liam.
So we got great takeaways. If you want your content to look better and be more appealing to brands, clean your fucking lens.
Tidy it up.
Get the audio sorted. Get some of them cheap microphones. Ideally, don't like hold them. The little tiny microphones.
It's when people are just like, hi guys.
Yeah, I'm just
hi.
No,
it's like their little news presenter. We're just like the little
thing
clip it on. Some people, I was doing content, didn't want it in the picture, but wanted the audio. Clipped on the back of his hood.
Oh yeah.
On the back, so it's not in shot. So you haven't got the big old fluffy muffle.
Yeah.
Or like on the side of the hat. Some of the guys I'm putting on the hats, or like because with the DJI, you got the magnets that goes inside.
Yes.
Just a little bit more subtle, because with the little fluffy.
The little magnets are a good shout, to be fair. Typically, I mean, we're a professional production company, so what we'll do is there's loads of ways that you can hide lav mics. We'll typically, when we use we use the DJIs for some stuff, but we actually do attach a lavalier mic to it, because you are going to get better quality then, because the onboard microphone of the DJI is actually not very good. So if you actually attach it doesn't have to be a mega lavalier, like 50 quid will get you an all right one.
Yeah.
But then you can just use little stickies and stick it underneath your hoodie or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's
a little bit
really
more
good
subtle.
Quality. But of course, if it's like windy outside and stuff, that protects it from that. I don't mind seeing the microphones like on.
Sometimes if they have it too close as they're moving, if they've got a beard, you hear it.
Or if they've got a chain.
Yeah. It's like just sort of like you say, almost like the placement of it.
Yeah.
Just again, it's the tidying
just
up.
Clip it
just
on.
think, you say, even just do like a little test clip. How does it sound? How does it feel? I saw one of the guys the other day just bought some new mics, and he sat in his kitchen just doing like mic checks to see how loud he needs to speak or how far away he can be, and vice versa. So he can up his game, and I'm like, fair play. You're putting in the work for it.
They're really cheap or free things that you can do to make your content more appealing. What about on the business side of things? What kind of things are you seeing done poorly by influencers that you wish they would speak to you about?
A lot of it will be like tidying up the aesthetic of like maybe the page.
Okay.
Like with logos and stuff like that, or like the way it's presented. Like some people will have like inconsistency with like how they do like an overlay of a caption.
Yeah.
And like you'll look at their grid on Instagram, for example, and it'll be like picture, 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 giant caption, picture, picture, giant caption. I'm like, there's no consistency. It's either a few of each or little bits, but then the caption's like green in one and yellow in the other. And you're like, okay, what's your brand? Or like use your brand identity or your key like colors for your brand in your grid.
Yeah, and there's tools that you can do that with, like Opus Clip and stuff like that, keep it all consistent.
And there's so many like free tools out there that you can use. I use some.
Yeah.
I only pay for some of them to get better quality out of the back end of it.
Or you know, if you just like, you want it to be quicker or something.
Yeah,
like that.
or download in a higher version or a different style of download. But it would just be like, people's like, with it, like I know Installer, but everyone changes their profile picture from their brand logo to their face so people know who it is when they're talking to them. Change it back. Don't forget that it's either one of you in your branded workwear or your logo.
Yeah.
But as again, some of the logos out there, because I've helped a few people with logo design as well. Like some of them, you're like, okay, you can see that was created on paint or like that, like just levered it up, like a bit more professional on that look. Because like your work might be next level.
Yeah.
But if the way you turn up or like you display yourself isn't, again, like you say, with a faded polo. Yeah. Simple things like that. Just invest in yourself. And
I think fashion is going to get more and more important in construction as
massively.
Well. As the newer generation of
it's going to be
trading.
How it's trendy.
Yeah.
It might just not be the old school like polo top and jeans or like the work trousers. It's going to be the style of the work trousers, how they fit, how they look.
No, it's huge. I think being a tradesman is on its way to becoming more sexy, more appealing.
Let's make the trade sexy.
Yeah, and it's due to the hard work of a lot of the people behind the scenes, a lot of the agencies behind the scenes, and the tradespeople, making it appealing for people to be on the trade and be passionate about the work that they do. And as a result of that, it's going to become cooler to have the right tools, the right gear. You know, we're already seeing this with like all the fancy stuff in the back of vans, like the racking, and the fashion. It's going to be huge.
It's all about how they present themselves. Like if you turn up to like a job, the van's dirty, the inside's a mess. If the customer sees it, they're thinking, well, if that's the state of their van, what's the workmanship like? 100%. It's a whole, not just the content on the page might be all polished and perfect, but if they turn up looking like a scruff, you're going to be like, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology behind like about that area, the sales element.
Massively.
Of, like, you get turning up to a quote in a like a Porsche or something like that, as opposed to like your van or like a battered old car. There's so many different kind of psychological things going on there. What I'd like to talk about from the let's say, I mean, this could be for anybody, someone who's already established or someone who's like looking to get more of a presence on social media, or they're on their way already to the point where they're already speaking to some brands. What are, let's say 3, but it could be any number, things that they should have in place before they start engaging financially with brands?
I think a lot of it will be that they know what they want out of it.
Okay.
Because a lot of them will be like, oh, great, they've approached me, but okay, what do you want from the deal?
Yes.
Oh, no idea. Okay. So how can I help you if you have no idea where you want? Like, set yourself some goals. Like you say, even if it's 3. Yeah. Okay, I want to work with these 3 brands. Mm-hmm. I want these 3 things from it, and I want to get this out of it. Yeah. Because if you don't really know what you want and what direction you want to go, how do you know which brand to say yes to, or not saying yes to every brand again? Because your integrity goes out the window. Yes. Because it could be, oh great, I've got 3 brands that do very similar things. Mm-hmm. How can you promote them all and love all the products when they're all different, same but different?
So that could, for instance, that be, if let's say I'm a tradesperson, could that look like, I would like to work with these 3 big brands because I use them. Yep. I'd like to commit 1 day a month. Oh, no, that's probably maybe 2 days a month to shoot content. That could be on separate times and stuff like that, but roughly 16 hours to shoot content for these 3 brands. And I would like to be 30 grand better off at the end of the year
Yeah.
as a result of that. Would that be a reasonable, like,
Yeah, and I think
that
it's,
could
at
be a
that point
goal
you can
could go
see,
towards?
okay, how am I going to get that content? Do I need to use an agency to get the content? Do I need to get, again, someone who does content creation to help me get that level
Yeah.
to be able to warrant that 30K at the end of it? So it's putting the right things in place, but knowing what you want and then doing a plan for it.
Yeah.
Even if it's like contacting you guys or me or whoever it may be to help with that plan.
Yeah.
Just to brainstorm, because it could be like, okay, if I want to do a content day with you guys, what's that going to take? Okay, I need to build that into the plan. Or do I need a media pack? What's that going to take?
Yes.
And then getting the content to go on the media pack and keeping up to date with it, but also being consistent with it all.
Yeah.
Not just doing it for one brand, doing it for all. And I think that's where a lot of it, because at the back end of it, brands talk to each other.
Yeah.
A lot of brands also might all sit on like the same level, but they might be owned by one big brand.
Yeah.
So it might be like, oh, you've approached this brand, but they deal with 5 others.
Yeah.
Is there other opportunities with different product ranges that they also look after that you could be tapping into?
Or their agencies, of course. So,
Exactly.
So like, you know, like people like yourself, people like us, will be working with multiple brands at the same time and you know, having the same conversation. So I dealt with this person on this particular brand. I think it'd be good for you guys as well, or she.
Yeah.
And you know, things like that. So there's a lot of communication.
Yeah, and having that, but also with it, keeping that communication. Like you say, it's key, because it could be like, okay, I'm trying to get you a brand deal, but I also need to get hold of you to know where you stand on what they're offering.
Yes.
Because if they're like, oh, we've got a deadline on Friday, I still can't get hold of you by Thursday.
Yeah.
They're thinking, well, they're not taking this seriously. They don't want it, and they'll go elsewhere. So it's that. I know it takes time to do the messages and stuff like that, but just be aware of what's happening.
Yes.
I think more than, because if you are trying to get to that 30K with those 3 brands, still keep using it, still keep posting about it, because if they see other people start using it more or like tagging them more, they'll be like, well, why do we want to use that guy? He's not even mentioned us in the last month. These guys have, let's approach them. There's that deal gone.
Yes.
Keep consistent with what you're doing. Like, you've been using them for a reason.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Sometimes
Know why you want to do it.
And sometimes it takes a while, not because they're like, oh, I need as the brand, you need to see X amount of posts. It's because their financial year is coming up in February,
Yeah.
or whatever, and they're just like, we're not doing anything with this person until we get the new budgets,
Yeah.
and then we can go, boom, here's money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so sometimes it can take a while. Typically for us, like the life cycle of the sales cycle from introduction to a brand to actually physically working with them is 12 months for us, typically. Because their budget, by the time you've spoken to them, a lot of the time, their budget's been spent.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's all about networking and communication. Going back to the things that people should have in place, so that you've got to set some goals as a content creator. What kind of other stuff? Because we talked about media packs before.
Yeah.
Is that a good shout?
I think having one of those in place, in a nice way, it doesn't matter how big or small you are. Micro-influencers, like we've said before, can be so key.
Yeah.
So I think even just having that, because then at the same time, you can look at it and you've then got a marker of, okay, I created it on the 1st of August. Okay, it's now the 3rd, 5th, 6th, whatever date it is, or halfway through the month. You can then look at where your numbers are now in comparison, so you can see that growth.
Yes.
You've almost got something tangible rather than, like, there's the insights and you can see the growth and the following, but you can say, okay, done this. Like, before I send the media pack off to a brand when I'm doing a deal, I will always update it and make sure it's there. And you're thinking, wow, okay, they've grown that much in like since I created it. Crikey.
And
This
then
is good.
The media pack is essentially a portfolio.
Yeah.
Portfolio
Digital
and a rate
portfolio
deck.
and a rate deck, yeah. So
So
it can be like include pictures of them working their work. So people can see, obviously, they follow them because they know who they are.
Yeah.
They want to work with them, but they can also see the quality of the work they've done. But it also shows the quality of the content they can capture.
Yes. So you've got numbers on there, you've got visuals.
Yeah, it's sort of like the CV for the trade brand world in a way, but try and sort of, you can be 3-4 pages, it can be a 1-pager, it can be a 2-pager, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
You could be like, okay, a brand's asked me for this, I want to show them this, this, and this. Perfect. Okay, how many pages do you want it to be? I want that per page. Fine, let's do a 3-pager.
Because the brands want that information. Before they go any further, it's just like, cool, how much does it cost?
Yeah.
We don't want to be getting into discussions right now on and going on Teams calls, going, cool, what kind of, let me learn a bit more about you. Yeah, nah, fuck that. We want to know how much it's going to cost and if we can afford it.
Yeah, and at that point, if it's a yes, so they might go, okay, we're working with other people that might be charging more.
Yeah.
Can you come down on price? It's like, okay, we can come. You can then set a high and a low. Sometimes go in high because you can always come down.
I prefer doing that for sure.
I do, because if people go, oh, that's a bit steep, we go, oh, but you can come down to here, but you're still happy with here.
Yes.
You're not thinking, oh, I've just been screwed out of a deal. You're still winning.
And it doesn't have to necessarily be like, okay, I'm going to put my prices up for this. It's more like, here's the biggest offering I have.
Yeah.
And I might not even be comfortable delivering that offering.
No, you might
that's
think
too much work.
But if they say yes, you're winning.
Great, yeah, I'll hire someone to do it.
Yeah.
But the middle ground is like, actually, that's the sweet spot. That's where I make the most profit.
Yeah.
Or
And
whatever.
it could be that it's not just your time on the day. You might be like your labourer that you've also got to pay.
Yeah.
Or they like, if you've got to get someone in to do the filming, you've got to pay them.
Yes.
So it's all that whole big picture. Like, think about everything that's going to be needed to achieve that one goal.
This is getting good now. So we've got goals. I'm an influencer. I've figured out my goals.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. Therefore, I can create some sort of strategy around trying to do that. I've got my media pack. What's the next step? Hiring you.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because then you can figure out.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably done the media pack at this point.
Yeah,
right?
I'm hoping so.
I mean, obviously,
I've had
people
that
can make their own media packs. But
they can. I've had some that have gone, okay, I've had this done before, and you look and you think, okay, I mean, it works, but it doesn't present you in a way that you should be presented. It's like very basic.
Yeah.
It might be a bit boring. It might just literally be a Word document like, hi, my name's Jeff. I can do this, and this is my price.
And because you know what the marketers want to hear. It's a bit like having
marketers like to see something with a bit of flair and a bit of colour and a bit of design to it, not just a plain piece of A4 with like their name, their prices, and a few pictures.
And all the right numbers and all the right things, because they're just looking for value for money, right? They're just looking for here's. First of all, can we work with this person?
Yeah, is it tangible?
Yeah,
does it make sense?
Do they look like a cock or whatever? If they're a reasonable person, can we work with this? But do they fit the brand? Do they fit the aesthetic? Do they fit the values? What first, have they got the right amount of followers? Have they got the right amount of engagement and content? Does their content look good? And what's the cost?
Yeah.
And these are all super, super important things. But having yourself be the person that can translate that stuff, so that it's when it gets to the marketing managers or the, even if it's like just the directors,
it's got the right words.
It's got the right words. You're ticking all the boxes, and it's like having the cheat sheet for an exam.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people will message me, oh, I'm looking for a media pack. I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're like, I've got 2 brands messaging. I'm like, okay, so you've left it too late already.
Yeah.
When do you need it by? They're like, next week ideally. I'm like, that's fine. I'll pencil you in for this day. I'll get it done. I'll send you screenshots through the process so you can tell me if you're happy, you like it. But I need your logo, your contact info, and a few pictures of you either working or your work to include, because again, it doesn't take a lot. WhatsApp it in HD. Remember HD.
HD.
Never. Or we transfer it. However's easiest.
Yeah.
Because if the highest quality you've got, the better it will look.
Yes.
And again, you want to show that this is you. This is you, your brand, your services.
Yeah, don't screen record it off Instagram.
Yeah, no. It's one of those that just be prepared.
Yeah.
Because a brand deal could come from anywhere, no matter the size you're following. It could be that they really like the way you do your videos, even if you've got like a smaller following. And we're like, oh, we want a bit of that, but with our product.
Yes.
Just be prepared for it. That's what you want out of it and is your end goal. Have one ready.
Yeah.
If it's set up, it's there. All you got to do is just ask for an update on the numbers, and I can either send it on or I can just send you a copy for you to deal with. It's up to you.
So we've got the winning combo here. This is the triple threat. Set your goals, get the media pack, have you organize the deals.
Yeah.
Deal. Done. Like
have my uses.
You're literally like you're ready for success then as an influencer.
And part of the influencer hub, as like I've got it that when they sign up, that's part of like. That's part of like the standard pack is that they get a media pack. The second they join up, that's the first thing I do. I then go, okay, what brands are you currently working with? Because I'll include that on the media pack as well, because you want to show other brands that these are the other ones I'm working with.
Yes.
Even if it's like a competitor, potentially, they'd be like, oh, well, if they've taken him on, we should. Because we want to beat them. And if they've used him, we want to use him. So again, that kind of competitive nature within the brands can spark, okay, well, if that's what they've paid, let's pay him that and give him more product.
Yes.
Sometimes it can really work in your favor.
100%, yeah.
So
like we want more. If it's going on we want more.
Exactly.
How do you feel about things like introductory offers and stuff like that? So rather than jumping into bed with a brand on a monthly retained basis straight away, brand side, when we're sort of negotiating for our brands, we're thinking, I like your stuff, but how do can we figure out a way in which? But I can't fathom how your content would work with our product. I want to see that first before we set 6 month, 12 month contracts and stuff like that. From my point of view, that's a better way of working. That's how we've always worked. It's very rare we jump into $100,000 deal off without doing any project work with them, just a one-off or something like that. We're never doing stuff for free, obviously. And typically the project work's more expensive because it's a one-off. How do you feel about that? Is that a typical kind of thing that you would see or you would recommend?
I think it can one of two ways, because obviously if a brand's seen you using their product quite a bit anyway,
that's true.
You might be able to just jump in. But if it's almost like a new approach, or you'd really want to work with that brand but you haven't yet, I think it could be there's almost like a certain like month, 2 month, 3 month, maybe like trial period where they just send products and then it becomes paid. Because again, time is money. Everyone deserves to get paid fairly for their time, because like they've still got to film it, edit it, put it out there. And I think like that could be a winning formula. Like if you're not too sure, or if you think it's a brand new brand, okay, let's see your value. Let's see what you can bring in for us, and then let's talk. But okay, let's put it in writing that over the next month, 2 months, we'll send you, it might be a digital product. We'll give you a promo code to put out there. Of like this percentage. Okay, let's see how many people you get to sign up to the app or whatever it may be. With that, okay, then they see like a real influx. Okay, perfect. So keep that code going, but we're now going to pay you on the side because we can see the value you're adding.
Would you prefer then, do you think, from your point of view, to see, rather than just like a one-off, it's more like a short stint of content?
It depends, because it depends on obviously what the brand's trying to achieve. Because if it's a product launch, it might just be short stint. But if it's they want to launch and keep pushing it out there, or developing the same product or that product line, or increasing to like that range, you might want that longevity side where it could be a trial. Okay, now keep pushing it, pushing it, keep going. We want to keep you on. There's going to be new products added to the range, and it's going to continue. I think like it could be, okay, we've just launched a hammer. A hammer's a hammer. Okay, it might come out in different colours, but how often can you really push that out there? Maybe once every few months. It might not be every month, because again, everyone will get bored of seeing the same thing. From the same person. You've got to mix it up. I think sometimes too much can become a bit stale. And then people get bored, and like you say, it feels forced from one person all the time delivering the same message over and over. Like you want to mix it up a little bit.
The reason why I ask this is because we do speak to especially some of the bigger accounts, and they will literally not do anything unless it's a 6 month contract. Like they weren't even like they're like, I don't do one-offs. And that becomes very, very challenging as for the brand, because they're like, but we see the stuff that you do, but we can't envisage what our product's going to look like in your content. We need to just like have a little preview, a little teaser. We'll pay for it, but I don't want to pay for 12 months or 6 months, and jump into a contract for something that we haven't seen yet. Never expect people to do this kind of thing for free. This is typically more for the bigger accounts. I want to see. I quite like the idea of doing like 3 pieces of content. I think if you get like one piece of content,
sometimes it's not enough.
It's not,
to see an actual engagement, because people are like, oh, he's using a new product. If you see it a couple of times, they'll engage more because he's actually using it. It's not just a one-off.
And also I think it's a bit like us as a social media agency. Like if we do 1 month's worth of content for you, it ain't gonna blow your mind.
No.
You know what I mean? It takes 6 months to build up from, especially if it's already not been a great account, it's been pretty stale or something like that. And we're like creating content, doing the marketing. 1 month you're not going to see a huge amount. You will see difference.
There'll be a little bit
huge.
And I think that's what a lot of people. Like there are some accounts out there that have like just bugged the algorithm and gone crazy. But they also started at a time when the algorithm was like 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Algorithm was a little bit easy to understand. So if you jump on that, that's gone. I think a lot of people think that, or expect it to be an overnight success. Like it takes time to build it. Again, if you haven't set like the fundamentals of the account up right, or like the profile's a bit lacking, or you don't want to engage with it, it's going to take even longer.
Yeah, and
it's like you said with the audio and the quality of what you're putting out there. There's all these factors to make the account either go, yeah, great, or just be a little bit stale.
I think so. I think what I'm taking from that is I think I would like to see brands and influencers engaging in this kind of initial 3 pieces of content. I think that's a good sweet spot. Ideally, and this is probably a bit controversial, perhaps a discounted rate.
Yeah.
So as opposed to like what we do, which is if you want to do project work with us, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I'm saying this, but from a brand's perspective, they're kind of going, can we just get a little intro?
Yeah.
Just a little something.
Like an intro deal.
Yeah.
Like when you sign up to a new website, you get 10% off.
Something like that.
New sales, new customer mode.
I don't know whether I'm telling people to do this or not. I'm probably not. But I think from the brand's perspective, they almost want this little kind of like, let's just test it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do it for free, but let me just test it. And perhaps like a little introductory offer or something that's mutually beneficial would work well with a view of the only reason why we're doing this is because we're testing a long-term agreement with you guys. That's the only time I would do something like that. And it would kind of be that kind of conversation.
I think if it comes with that message and the guys that are doing the content aren't thinking, oh, but they only want me for 3 months at a cheap rate,
then I would charge more.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like, if you are the brand approaching them and you do want that trial period, you're like, okay, we'll pay you this for the 3 months. We'll then talk.
Yes.
If we find it to be a success for both. If not, we'll say to you, okay, look, let's do another 3 months, but this is what we'd want changing. Or like come at a different angle.
Oh, I've got it.
Because if there's a different way of content that they like the way that they've done it naturally, normally, and they slightly change how they do it because there's payment involved, they're like, yeah, but that's what we want.
Yes.
You've changed. Let's try it that way for a little bit longer, and then let's talk. Let's up the rate a little bit so you don't think you're getting screwed.
Yeah, I think I figured it out though, right? So I was in my head, I'm thinking, well, if you're only doing 3 months worth of content as a one-off, you should be charging more. But if you're doing 3 months of content with the idea of going for a longer term
contract extension,
longer term contract, you should be charging less. This is what I'm potentially telling people. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And it's going to be really, really difficult to sort of, because brands will take advantage. Like, oh, yeah, we'll definitely have a conversation about it.
But it could be like, okay, let's charge less, but I want more product.
Yeah.
But you got to send the product. Because some people, like, to start with, might be using the brand anyway, but they've paid for it.
Oh, yeah.
Send me the stuff at a low rate and let's do it.
I'm always expecting the brand to be sending the product. But listen to this. This might be genius.
Groundbreaking.
What you do is if it's a short-term thing, you charge more. You charge more than your retained rate. So it's a premium rate because you're doing it once. It's a one-off. That might piss off another brand, and therefore you need to be able to be compensated for that. If you're wanting to do an introductory offer for a more long-term agreement,
with it in writing,
what you do
extend.
is you set up the 12-month agreement, the 6-month agreement. That gets signed as a contract with a 3-month probationary period.
Definitely.
At a reduced rate.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it. So what you do is you're already ready to go, but if the brand or you feel like it's not working after those first 3 months, you've got paid for it.
It's like getting a new job.
Yeah.
You've got your probation period. Yeah. And like you say, you've got that time to feel out if it's right for you, if it's right for your business model, your brand, and again, right for them. Because like you say, you might do a bit of content that's a bit controversial and they think, oh, red flag.
Yeah.
They can then have a conversation and say, look, we can see where you were going. It was just a little bit over the line. Let's try and bring it back in. And then again, you're still within that period. Like if you do, it's like the 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah. But after those 3 months, if everybody's happy, it goes back up to the normal retained rate.
And the agreement is already in place. You haven't got to worry about it. It just happens.
It just continues. Genius? Right. I'm sure people are already doing this. I don't think I'm the first person.
I don't think they are.
Excuse me. Typically, this is the last question before we kind of finish off on this episode. Typically, how do you see? Here's a better way of asking this. What's the best practice for pricing as a content creator, as an influencer? Like, what are you seeing that's working?
It's so different from person to person, depending on following.
Yeah.
Because there's some out there with like really big following that you think, oh, maybe you should be charging more. Or there's some out there that you think, whoa, that's what you're charging?
Yeah.
And people are paying that?
There's not like a
there's a little bit of a
set
no, there's no set rate. But I think if you go for like take an average of following, where it sits. So if you could have like between this and this, it's average of this.
Yeah.
And it'd be okay. You've got a low end and a top end. Where do you sit? But it can also be okay, not just the following. What's your engagement rate?
Yeah, that's big.
Because it could be like, oh yeah, I've got 1,000 followers, but only 9,000 interact. You could have 10K and 9,000 of that 10 interact. You're going to be more valuable. So you can then set your rate maybe the same as someone at 100K.
Yeah,
but it's
theoretically.
It's more down to the person as well, because it could be, okay, you work either on hourly rate or day rate with what you're doing task-wise. What do you charge? Okay, and how long are you now spending extra on the filming, on the content, and on the editing?
Kind of
okay, so what's that time worth to you?
Yes.
Would you be happy being paid for this time?
Because you might be doing that in family time.
Exactly. And family time is something you can't get back.
No.
Like so kids, if they're young, they're only young for a short period of time, and they only want to play games or whatever for a short period of time.
So that should come at a premium.
It should come at a premium. And it's one of those, I think, brands overlook the fact that it's like, oh yeah, but that's a lot of money. It's like, yeah, but you're asking for them to do a 20-hour day now to get the content filmed, edited, and out for you, and you only think it's worth this?
Yeah.
Like, are you mad?
And also you're paying, you're sort of back paying for, as a brand, for the audience that they've built for free.
Yeah, and that engagement that they've built and the trust that they've built with that audience for free.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't expect someone with no followers to get paid because there's no one to interact.
Exactly. They're not putting any effort in ahead of time.
No. And I think that will be a really key thing, is set your prices where you're happy. Because it could be, you might have 100K, but you're happy with like the same sort of price as someone who's like aiming to like be breaking stupid money a year. Yeah. Fine. But as long as you're happy with that, it's what they've got to be comfortable with and feel that they're not being like taken for a mug.
Yeah.
It's got to be a comfortable, but also what you think, okay, the brand will accept. Because you don't want to go, like you say, you don't want to go too high that they're like, no, don't even consider it.
Exactly.
Whereas if you go high enough that they go, okay, would you be willing to come to here? Okay, yeah. And they're still happy in that little green zone, as it were. I think it would just be that, like, really, because I do a lot of the pricing for people on their media packs, because like, I have no idea where to start. I'm like, well, let me put an average in of where your follower count sits with what I've seen in the industry.
Yeah, because you can see the averages.
Are you happy with this? They're like, oh, I'd rather a little bit more here, or I'm happy to come down to this. It's okay, we'll set this as the high level. If you're happy to come down to that, then we know where we stand. And I think that's as simple as it sounds stupid, but it is simple. Yeah. Are you happy to be paid that for your time? Yes or no?
Absolutely. And also, does that fit in with the goals that we talked about earlier?
Exactly. And it's like those, like you say, the three key things.
Yeah.
What do you want out of it?
If you wanted an extra, did we say 30 grand? You're at 10 grand per brand. Therefore, I want to work with this particular brand for a year at a 10 grand value. What can I deliver for that 10 grand value?
Is it feasible? Can I physically do it?
Yeah.
Have I got time to do it?
Which is like $850 a month? It's not that much.
It's not a lot. And it could be you're doing 3 reels or a post a month, and maybe there might be an event in the middle of it, like a big event. Yeah. And a lot of that could come for paying for your attendance at an event. It doesn't have to be content. No. But you'll naturally create the content at the event.
And $850, again, you might have bigger goals than 30 grand a year extra, but $850 for a brand per month is fuck all.
In the big grand scheme of what they're bringing in, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think when brands go, oh yeah, but our budget's so small, I'm like, yeah, but what you're bringing in is not. And I think that's where they just sort of like, they want to try and keep it more on their product. I'm like, yeah, but you could get more in your product by investing in this.
Yeah, especially if you're an e-commerce brand. If you're going direct to the consumer, you are literally like, okay, you sell off
online.
Instagram.
Yeah. You haven't got any overheads for a warehouse, an office space. Like everyone works from home, or it's a self-run business, or however it may be.
I'm sure there's a reason why construction brands typically work through a distributor model, even if they've got a big head office. But almost all the brands that we work with, they don't sell direct to the consumer. They have to go through a Wix's or whatever.
A tool stage, those sorts of things.
So the problem with that is then whenever you're using influencers, you're literally doing it for brand awareness, because the influencer can't then manipulate a sale.
No.
Because all they're doing is saying, hey, I'm using this product. You should go to your local
to one
such
of
and
5
such.
places to buy it.
So that we can't get the data from that. Whereas when we have worked with direct-to-consumer brands, the content's very different because it's super about the sales. Yeah. It's just about generating that sale.
And the engagement will be so different. Yeah. And it's so much easier to like monitor that return on investment
Well,
that brands want to see.
They'll put 20 grand on an ad per day.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, and it's mad. And so they're using crazy influencers. They're doing all that kind of thing. The distributor model is a little bit different. They're a little bit more careful about their money. But technically, they should be doing the same thing.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you're trying to achieve the same thing.
But the marketing guys, they can't because they can't get the data from that to justify 20 grand a day.
Yeah.
On ads. It's a tough one, really.
You're starting to see a lot more distributors or like the tool stations, those are actually now using influencers to drive sales to them, because they'll then get more from the brands. So it could be, the influencer could be on a win because they might already work with a brand that's sold through that distributor. Yeah. It's a double header.
I think that is like the future. I think,
and that could be your 30 grand. Is you've got two brands and one of them's also a stockist, but they're two complementing products.
Yes.
And a distributor, and you're an absolute massive win because you're getting 3 ticked off in potentially 1 reel.
Yeah,
everyone's happy.
I mean, I don't really look into the distributors. I mean, we have got retailers as clients, but they're very specific builders merchants and stuff like that, as opposed to like a Wix or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be amazing because you can get the influencers on board with that, and also from a content creation perspective, we're working with stuff that we wouldn't typically work with because we're basically just like, oh, we're working with Wix. Okay, cool. What do you want to do? Lawnmowers, great. Never shot lawnmowers content before. Let's go. Or whatever, you know. Like we don't do a lot of stuff with power tools, even though I'd love to. Who are we speaking to that does power tools? Oh, we were working with Altrad Bell the other day, weren't we? They're just not power tools technically. They do like the big
the whacker plates.
Yeah.
And the saws.
Exactly, yeah. Really
because you were at Super Trowel.
Yes, that was stressful.
I had so many messages saying, why wasn't I there? I'm like, I couldn't be. I had another appointment, but they're like, get yourself there next year.
It was
okay,
cool.
It's one for the calendar.
I enjoyed it. I think next time I will not be shooting it.
Just attending.
Just attending, yeah. I think I would have liked to enjoyed it a little bit more.
Was it stressful?
It was logistically
a nightmare.
Yeah, because what we did was we got the go ahead for 2 brands, which are kind of in the same group. So they were like, we're going to this show. We want to get content of us there. We've like got this big VIP section. We've like basically sponsored the whole thing. It's like, cool, okay. We already work with these guys. They're on retainer anyway. So I'm like, there's that little bit of insight in me that's just like, because they're on retainer, it feels like we're doing it for free.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you say, you go to it and you're like, you want a little bit more because you've got all that travel cost of the fuel, getting people there.
Yeah. I mean, we get reimbursed for all that kind of stuff. But essentially, I'm just like, I've not gained anything from going to this show. Technically, I have. I shouldn't think about it like this because I needed to shoot content with these guys because if we go up 2 or 3 months without shooting content, then obviously they got like, where the hell's the value? Yeah. So really cool that they hired us to do that because we wanted to go anyway. So then I'm on the blower to literally everybody that's like attending that I know. Yeah. And I'm like, do you want to get content? We're already going. We're already going to be there. I can bring more people.
Yeah. So you can get more out of it.
Yeah. I wanted basically my goal was I wanted a new camera out of the show.
Oh, easy.
So that was what I got, half a camera in the end because that was.
It's better than no camera.
Exactly, and we've ordered the camera on Friday.
There we go. Happy Christmas.
But yeah, so we managed to pick up 2 more brands. 2 more brands. Yes. It just got really confused because technically it's 4 brands that we were working with, but 2 of them were in the same group. So it was the logistics of like, right, there's only 3 of us. One of the brands needed 2 videographers for the whole time. So that meant that there was another person that was kind of floating around doing bits and bobs. So we did like an hour with one company and then we did 4 hours with another and 3 hours with another. And we were kind of swapping out and changing and stuff like that. It was mad, wasn't it? But cool show. Yeah. My regret is I wish I had another videographer at the time to go and shoot the stuff that was actually going on in the competition. We didn't
so like
get
a man on the ground.
We didn't get loads of content of that because we were so focused on. We did get some of that stuff, but I'd really liked for somebody to be essentially just like content creator for the comp. Yeah. As opposed to our brands. Anyway. Cool. We'll see you at the next one.
Definitely.
And hopefully I'll have more videographers at that point that I can just go and chill.
Yeah.
Schmooze.
Enjoy it a little bit more.
Basically, I was supposed to, Aisha, our marketing manager, said, you need to go and speak to these people and these people and these people, because I've already been speaking to them, and they're looking, they know that you're going, and they've said, come and say hello, and I didn't, because we were just so couldn't. Busy. So I feel bad about that. We're right at the end of the episode now. It's been an exciting episode.
I've loved it.
The energy has been incredible. I always love speaking to other marketers in the industry.
Bricking it coming on.
Oh yeah.
I'm normally behind the camera, so being in front of it is a different game.
I kind of got two questions. Like, next 5 years, like just literally just like super short to the point. Where's the industry going in terms of marketing? What's going to happen, do you think? Like, what are you going to see more of or less of or whatever?
I think it's a tricky one because it changes week on week. I think to look 5 years ahead, I think it will just be a lot more of the brand deals. And I think a lot of people will stop doing work for work. And I think a lot of it will start to become more working to create content. Yeah. I think that's how it's going to go, which worries me because then you're going to lose the skills within the industry.
Yeah, because everyone's just doing it for social media.
Because everyone's just doing it for social media. And I think that's a concern for a lot of people as well, because you've got like the younger gen coming through, like the apprenticeships, like they've done that and they're the ones that are sort of snapping up the deals because they're bringing a fresh energy to it. And like the older gen or the ones that have been sort of like the OGs from the start doing it are getting a little bit miffed.
Yeah.
Because they feel that they're being done. But it's like, okay, you've missed a trick.
Yeah.
Got to stay on top of things to do it. So I think it'll be trying to keep up with the times and the algorithm. And
I think that it'll be like kind of balance between that, but also authenticity. Because if you're not really, if you haven't got the skills, then really you're not authentic. Because like some of the people like Mark Tiffers that we had on the show the other day, like I kind of was aware of his YouTube content, but I actually started properly watching it more so around the time that he came to on the podcast, and it was kind of akin to the stuff that I watch about camera equipment and production, because I was like, I could kind of understand most of the stuff that he was talking about up to a certain point when it came to plumbing. But I'm like, he's actually showing tips and tricks for plumbers that I'm sure plumbers find really interesting, because it's like hacks, and not like goofy hacks like you see on TikTok, but genuine, just like, I came across this problem and this is how I fixed it. And I didn't know that I could fix it in this way, but this is actually saving me loads of time or whatever it was. That's the kind of vibe.
More the educational side. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, or a lot of apprentices I know as well, have used social media and stories and following these types of guys like Tiffers and the guys to learn, because like there might be stuff in a classroom, but they can actually do it. Like when I was doing the social media, after I've done like a load of work, I'll sit and I might do a bit of a scroll and watch the stories. Yeah. There was one of the plumbers a couple of years ago. He was fitting one of the big old fancy toilets that's got all the buttons and it washes your bum and all sorts. And he literally did it step by step and showed the instruction page and showed how he did it. Yeah. And why he might have swapped out one of the bits that came with the kit for something that would have been better and stronger. Like, for example, switching out like a wall plug for something that's stronger and better. Like the little bits there, and he's like, why he's done it. And I messaged him afterwards, after like the day of like watching it each bit, and I was like, I think I could genuinely fit one of these on myself.
Yeah.
I feel like
you could have a go
confident enough that if I could just watch your story back again as like a highlight reel, I could fit my own fancy toilet. Yeah. And I think that's the educational side of it. I think that's where it's more going to go as well, is like the tips and tricks and the learning of it.
I think that kind of stuff is important for the genuine tradie, because they're just like, that's really cool. And you're influenced by the people who teach you stuff massively.
And you find that it could be, as daft as it sounds, you could have this really polished reel that you've taken hours to film and it could get like certain views. You do something stupid that like, this is how I attach a wall plug, or this is how I put a cupboard door on. Yeah. And it gets more engagement and more views than something that's taken you hours, because it's simple. Yeah. And it's more engaging because people are like, oh, okay, so I can adjust the screw. Okay, right, okay, I can fix it with this or use that material here. And they wouldn't have thought to do it.
No.
So it's that little light bulb moment that's actually had more of a positive vibe. So I think that's the way it's going to go.
I think also, a lot of the content that I consume in the construction industry is very samey. Yeah, there's very few people. There's fewer people being genuinely creative and
different.
What's the word?
Just bringing a different angle to it.
Yeah, it's you can tell I had a couple of drinks last night because all of my like
all the big words have gone.
all the vocabulary is gone. Yeah, there's the guys that differentiate themselves by doing something completely unique and different. There's less of those, and I think what we're going to see as there's more influencers coming in, all jumping on the same trends as each other.
I was going to say, everyone's going to be competing for the same thing in the same way.
So they're going to have to step up their game. They have to be more interesting and different. And I'm excited to see that because at the moment I'm kind of just seeing the same stuff. A lot of the time it's just like, oh, here's a reel. It's the same reel that I saw this other guy doing. It's basically the same thing. It's
like the transitions. Everyone's using the same. Or they're using, it's like when some of the transitions I'm seeing as well, it's almost like when you first learn to use PowerPoint.
Yeah.
There's too many. And you're like, okay, I've just seen something spin around and it's too much. Stop.
It's like
just use the good ones, the ones that flow. Some people are using too many, and it's like, okay, brands aren't going to want to see that.
No,
calm down.
But then I think on the surface it probably works. I think this is the problem.
It's the annoying thing.
Yeah, it probably works really well, but longevity wise, it's like everybody's reading off from the same book, and therefore they're all going to be kind of muddied together. And the guys and girls that are going to be separating themselves are going to be the ones who are either really controversial or completely unique.
I was going to say, I think that's where it's going to go, and that's where people are going to get more views, is that tongue-in-cheek, on the edge.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to, people are going to have to start doing to stand out, to be different.
I think picking something that's like on that vein of thought, picking something that's different, but that you can do consistently over a long period of time is challenging. You know what I mean? It's like the guy, we were talking about him earlier. Who's the guy that does he did the stuff with DW Plumheat? What was his name?
I don't actually know his name. I just know his Instagram handle.
What's the Instagram handle?
Be a Plumber.
Be a Plumber, yeah. So love that content. Really, really cool. Like it's if you haven't seen Be a Plumber, go check it out. But it's like really dry, like kind of matter of fact voiceover. Yeah. That's kind of like
blunt but to a point.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like comically what would you class that kind of dialogue as? It's kind of like
it's tricky
arsey, basically. It's like comically arsey and like dry. Check it out.
Like he's had enough.
Funny. Yeah, exactly.
Just done with it.
And it's really, really funny. And it's like, but I look at that and I think that's hilarious. Could you do that for every single video?
Yeah.
Probably
how
not.
long can you keep doing this for?
So is there a theme around that you can kind of build this persona out of that stands the sort of the test of time?
And I think that's what people are doing, is building like a social media persona. It's not who they are, but it's who they've got to be.
Yeah.
To like make it work.
Yeah.
But I like the ones I sort of tend to see or find a lot of people, and myself included, interacting with more are more of like like you said, the tips and the tricks, but the more like relatable.
Yes.
Like there was a voiceover on someone's story the other day. It's like, oh, when you pick up a drill, what's the first thing you do? You pull the trigger. Yeah, it's just natural. Yeah. You can't not just pick it up and just hold it. You have to go, woo-hoo, and you're like, oh, okay, it's working, battery's on, let's go.
Well, the beautiful thing about that kind of the content that's like the tips and tricks and the sort of almost educational day in the life stuff is it's authentic and it's got longevity because that's just you doing stuff.
Yeah,
you know, it's not a gimmick, it's not an act. And
it's genuine.
Yeah, that's the way that I
relatable.
Yeah, that's the way that I would go. So you're relying on your personality more than transitions and gimmicks and stuff.
Oh God, yeah,
to some extent.
But sharing your knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's missed because, like you say, a lot of people are like all of like the more niche trades are starting to sort of, you see them dying out. Like the skill set starting to die out because it's not being shown. Like people aren't picking up on it.
Like the stone dresser, Yorkshire stone dresser.
James. Legend. Shout out James.
And you just sort of think like where's the, like as someone who's not in that industry, I'm like, where's the market for you as an influencer? And then you watch the content, you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah. This is cool.
I love doing the content days with James. We have so much fun and we get so much done. But like you say, I get to then witness it firsthand and like see it. And like the same, I spent a day with Chris Tomine Stone.
Oh yeah.
His mate that does the carving.
Yeah. Mad.
Has got skills.
Yeah.
Like helped me and sort of taught me how to do my little logo in the stone. And it was just like,
it's like stepping back in the medieval
It was incredible.
times,
but I loved it. And it's like the days where instead of having to be sat behind on a laptop, I get to get hands on the tools and actually learn a new skill, be a part of it and be like, wow. Everyone's like, oh yeah, everyone thinks it looks easy.
Yeah.
Trust me, I've never thought it looks easy.
Mate,
it is not easy.
Mate,
it is fun.
Have you seen it? The
but it's
Yorkshire
challenging.
Stone Dresser, mate, it's insane. Like I don't understand any of the technology or the terms that are in that industry, but he'll be using like what I assume is like a chisel and a hammer, and he'll be like taking off essentially like a right angle from this like block, and it's in all he's doing is literally it's like boom, 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 and it's like perfect.
It's just the technique.
And I'm like, I would literally have to be like placing it really carefully.
It is not easy.
Like knock it and then move it along. He's just like bang, bang, and it's perfect. He's got this perfect
If you haven't
line.
seen his page, check it out.
Insane.
The Yorkshire Stone Dresser. Honestly, like I on one of the days I gave it a go. That hammer is heavy.
Yeah.
But if you're swinging that all day. Man's like Popeye, one arm's bigger than the other. Like, and the skill with it, like you'd be so scared to move like the chisel or the nicker.
Yeah.
And you'd hold it. I was holding it still. And when he's doing it, you just see like he's tinking it away and like the angle. And you're like, how do you know where the hell your hand's going to be without smashing it? Just, yeah. It's a long-lived skill that...
I think we could do like a corporate day with the Yorkshire Stone Dresser. I bet that'd be really expensive. But if we could get the whole of the dissident team out to have a play.
I think get James and Chris together. Yeah. You can dress the stone
and then you could
chisel it. And then you could you could probably carve dissident into it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Mate. Skills.
Do it.
Big up the Yorkshire lads.
Let's
get
contact them. Right? That would be amazing if we did like, because I'm always like, oh, let's do. I'll
let them know. I've got them in a group chat.
Please, yeah.
I'll be like, right, dissident want to do a day.
We want to do like,
let's hook it up. Let's make it happen.
We'll shoot content, but also it's kind of like a
fun day
team building,
team bonding. Each person gets to do a bit of the dissident carving. Whose letter's the best?
Yeah, screw paintball and let's go and do some like stone dressing.
You could then throw paint at it afterwards.
Could do.
You could make it colourful.
That would be dissident, to be fair.
That would be very dissident.
Yeah. Dissident is like...
Get it carved, get it dressed, carve it, take it back into the studio and paintball the hell out of it. That would be sick. Slow-mo the hell out of that.
Is there anything that we've not talked about that you feel like I should have asked you? If we not covered any topics?
I don't think so.
I think we've covered a lot, haven't we?
But come and get Limitless.
Yeah, come and get Limitless. Amazing. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
Limitless EJS.
Yeah.
What's the best way to contact you?
Through social media, on the website, number and email are on there. So I'm pretty active on everything.
All of them?
Yeah. As soon as I get a notification, I'm normally like, oh, what's that?
Yeah. So Instagram
LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, however it works best. Just, get in touch.
I'm excited. I'm excited for to see you tomorrow at a corporate golf day that we're doing.
Shout out Charity Golf Day.
Yeah.
Screed Pappy. Go on, Joe. Construction, sport and mental health in the trade. Big, important topic.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. And I'm excited for this to come out. I think this has been a really powerful episode and I think it's going to be something that a lot of content creators and brands are going to be educated by this. I think, and there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been talked about. I mean, the media packs is going to be massive.
I think it's fun being, again, like we said with the influencer, being that person that's in the middle of it all. Because you can help the brands.
Yes.
But you can help the influencers.
Exactly. Everybody wins.
Exactly. And hopefully we get paid in the meantime.
Hit up Emma if you're either one of those things, an influencer or a brand or an agency.
Or an agency.
Exactly. Thank you, Emma. It's been amazing.
It's been awesome.